Hey, in this video, we're talking about the top 6 first-time homebuyer incentives when you're moving to Washington. And you're going to want to pay attention and stick around until the end because the last one is likely going to save you the most amount of money if you qualify. And we're going to get right into it. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Seattle, Washington, then subscribe to the Modernism Real Estate channel below and tap the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to know about the current market in Seattle and the surrounding areas in Washington. My name is Bruce Bradbury with Keller Williams and the Modernism Real Estate Group. We're getting calls and emails every single day from people just like you who are ready to make a move to Seattle, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're planning on moving next week or next year, give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email so that we can help you make a smooth move to Seattle. We're going to get right into the top 6 first-time homebuyer incentives for buyers when you're moving to Washington State. Now, these are going to save you a lot of money, as I mentioned, and I want you to be aware of these options so that you can make the best decision possible when you're moving to your new home. Now, we have lender referrals in place. So if you don't have a lender in Washington, and you need someone to work for you here, need someone local and a really good lender, just let me know. I'll be happy to refer you a few good lenders, and they're going to guide you through a little bit more through the process, this process as well. But I want you to be able to have the knowledge to be able to present to them so that you can make the best decision on which loan is going to be best for you financing coming out of the gate. And then the lender is going to fine-tune these options. So this video is to give you the basic understanding of what's out there and what's going on. Number 6 is the conventional loan. This mortgage, as it sounds, is the most conventional option for home buyers getting a run-of-the-mill loan from their lender or bank. Every lender offers these. And they're so called because they conform to the federal lending rules. These rules adhere to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines that set the boxes that must be checked in order to make one of these loans. The simple reasoning for this is that most banks or lenders that originate mortgages actually do not keep them on their books unless they're a bank that portfolios their own loans. So simply, banks offload and sell their mortgages to the secondary market or other banks a time after they make the loans. So you may have actually noticed this before if you've had a mortgage, you check the statement in the mail, and all of a sudden the bank that you're paying money to has changed names. Your loan has just been sold to another market participant. And that is why you have the conventional loan guidelines, because it's a set standard that everyone can agree upon to make the secondary market of mortgages work and make it efficient. But really all you need to know here as a consumer is that this conventional option is most used option for loans out there, and they have the most straightforward guidelines. And you also have the conventional interest rate that is easy to track. You can also have a credit score as low as 620, but if you have somewhere up in the 740 to 750 range or even above, that's going to actually give you some of the best financing rates out there. And that's going to be the case in any situation if you have a credit score like that. Depending on what your credit score is, if it is higher, then your interest rate will be lower, which will allow you to buy more house for the same amount of dollars. I won't get into the rabbit hole of credit score optimization here, but I will say when in doubt, YouTube it or speak to a lender or one of our lenders to give you the best advice here. So number 5 that I wanted to actually talk about today, and this one is not going to be available to everyone, is the VA loan. So if you're a current military veteran, current service member, or a surviving spouse, this is one of the best routes to getting a home, especially if you're a first-time homebuyer, because they have 0% down payment options. Over here at KW, Keller Williams, we're really cognizant of our military veterans. Personally, I want to make sure that this option is shouted from the rooftops because it's truly a really great one. And there's no private mortgage insurance. So if you are a veteran and you're considering moving to Washington, there's a lot of incentive in place for you to get this type of loan. 0% down, lower rates, no PMI, no insurance, and waiver of the funding fees in most cases also. These loans may take a little more time to prepare, So you want to make sure that you have all your documents in place as well, and just know that it can take a little longer because it's a government loan. That can save you a lot of money. You have the federal guarantee of the VA loan, but you also have the Washington State Housing Finance Commission when you move to Washington that provides even more benefits to veterans. So my advice is to always check what the local programs are in addition to the national ones. Okay, so number 4 on our list is my personal favorite just because of the opportunities that it allows. The FHA loan is a very popular loan, and this is simply a loan that is guaranteed by the federal government to help buyers get into homes with better terms and better rates. And this is done by the Federal Housing Administration. It has really very relaxed requirements, but at the same time, you could have a credit score as low as 580, even lower than conventional. But keep in mind, if your score is around there, then you'll probably need to put around 10% down. This is probably going to be the case in any situation. So if you have some more money to put down and your credit is a little questionable, then the FHA loan may be a good option. But if you have a higher credit score, this is where the benefit of the FHA really comes in, because then the down payment requirement is only 3% down. That is a very minimal down payment when you do think about it. If you have a higher credit score, this is really where the benefit comes in. Then the requirement for down payment is only about 3.5% down. So that's very minimal down payment when you think about it. I mean, think about it. For every $100,000 worth of house, your cost down would only be $3,500. Picture a $500,000 house. That's still only $18,000. That's a lot more manageable for people to put down, especially if they're just getting into homeownership for the first time. And if you're not at that point right now, you want to understand that 3.5% is a good threshold of savings that you need to place and likely to put down on a property when you go to do so. Computing that percentage is really going to give you a good starting point for what you're going to need down if you're looking for an FHA loan. FHA is really one of the most popular ways that most people get their loan for the first time, but this next one that I'm about to share can be equally, if not more powerful. I feel like everyone down, we're going into more and more financial savings, which is awesome. Number 3 is the USDA loan. And this is actually one of my personal favorites too. And I don't know, a lot of people don't know as much about the USDA loan. But this is an incentive that encourages rural and suburban homeownership. And so depending on like a zip code that you're looking in certain areas of Seattle and in King County, you could qualify for 100% financing through a USDA loan. So much like the VA loan, you could get a home for 0% down potentially. But the USDA loan depends actually on where the property is located, because they want to incentivize, the federal government wants to incentivize that people buy in rural and less dense areas. A USDA loan is a great option for buyers with moderate or low income because there are cutoffs and limits. It lets you buy a house with no money down and low mortgage rates. 2 huge benefits that only one other program, the VA loan, offers. If the home you're looking at is in an eligible area, it's really worth exploring a USDA guaranteed loan. And just an aside, current low income in the Seattle area for the loan is $64,700, which on a national scale is well above the median U.S. income. Just something to note. And there are actually areas pretty close to Seattle, maybe 10, 15 miles away from downtown. So it's not like you've got to be really rural in the middle of the United States. No, it's not as far as you may think that is actually considered rural or less dense for the USDA loan to qualify. Yeah, I know when I mentioned this one, you might have been thinking, oh, I'm going to be way out in the sticks somewhere. But it's not necessarily the case because there's a lot of good areas around Seattle that are considered rural and suburban by the USDA loan, and that would allow you to take advantage of the program. So it's really lucrative. And we just have to check and see, depending on where you want to live. So we see a house, we type it in, look it up, see if it actually does qualify for that location. I should also note that from a process point of view, when we work together, we will be looking at properties together. And once we have identified one that really seems to fit your styles, wants, and your needs, then it's just a matter of me and your lender doing the heavy lifting to input the property that and research it to make sure that it's a viable option for any of these programs that are home specific, right? These programs that you necessarily don't have to think about a whole ton as a consumer, but just something that your real estate agent and your lender and that home buying team that you're putting together is being cognizant of and finding the best program that works for you. Some of these programs might have specific requirements that might just not be where the home is located, but also in what condition the home is in. For instance, with the VA loans, the requirements are a little stricter on the basis of what needs to be fixed and whatnot. So finding a clean-cut home is probably the best route for any of these programs on the episode today, but still not necessarily the case. We have tough negotiating standards here to have that seller fix anything in the house to make sure that you can end up purchasing that home with the program. So if you need any assistance getting things repaired, I have a slew, and we have a slew of team members that are going to be specializing in those aspects. So number 2 on this list is Washington State Housing Finance Commission. The commission offers down payment assistance loans for home buyers in the form of 2 different programs: the Home Advantage program and the House Key program. Requirements for these kinds of programs involve taking a home buyer education class and to work with a lender that is specifically trained by the commission to use these programs. And oftentimes these down payment assistance programs come in the form of a second interest-free loan on your property, which takes second position. This amount is required to be paid after your primary position home mortgage is paid. So it's a loan that you're taking out, but you don't have to pay off until you sell the house again. So it's really something built in the background. And I know a lot of people, if they have the home for a long time, have built up equity anyways. So that equity ends up more than covering for this secondary loan. Sometimes though, the program will stipulate a time horizon after which the loan is completely forgiven if you're still living in the house, perhaps 5 or 10 years. These programs might cap the price of the home that you want to buy as well, and they also have income limits, though in my opinion, the income limits are quite high. For example, the Home Advantage program limits applicants to $180,000 household income. Some of these programs actually operate on fixed interest rates too, which may help offer some peace of mind. You'll know exactly what you're getting no matter how long the process takes for you. Most likely, the funds for your down payment are provided in the form of a deferred loan. So that's something that will need to be repaid as well. That's something just to keep in mind, and that's definitely an option we can explore for you. One last thing to note, the interest rate for these programs might be a little bit higher than conventional or FHA rates. So just something to keep in mind. Finally, drum roll please, number 1 is actually a bunch of programs, and they all fall into the category of community-based nonprofit programs. I love community-based nonprofits. On a local level, Seattle and King County have many of these organizations that can help in the form of purchase assistance loan programs or even help you to secure funding for a loan with a lender. So they're nonprofits that can offer general financial planning and down payment assistance. Homesite, for instance, in Washington, offers up to $70,000 in down payment assistance, and that number is given out based on need. Okay, so thank you for watching today, and let me know down in the comments if there's any other loan program hacks that I missed in this video. And thanks so much for dropping a thumbs up on the video. I really appreciate it. We appreciate it over here at Modernism. And click that first link in our description to contact me if you have any questions or needs. So I'm here for you. Again, thank you for watching the video. My name is Bruce Bradbury again with Modernism Real Estate Group in Bellevue, Washington, servicing Seattle and the greater Seattle real estate areas. And if you've been wondering about the view, this right here is downtown Bellevue. Fun fact, we see this building right here. It's actually being built right now. It's going to be a mall, a hotel, and a condominium complex. Now, when we first moved in here at the beginning of last year, this building didn't exist. So actually right there, right behind that building, is a Space Needle. So we used to have a view of the Seattle skyline, but not quite anymore. So just a fun fact for you. All right, everyone, have a good day.